Anyway, so I've got a project going on here. My buddy wants me to get some of his lights done for his Honda. I believe it's for a 10th gen Honda Civic. Essentially what I'm going to do is take these all apart, bake them in the oven, take off the housing, or take off the lens, separate the housing. Everything's going to come out. These DRL strips that are in here don't work, so I'm hoping that I can actually pull it out of the housing entirely, because he doesn't want them. He got an LED strip to go down here, so I'm going to try to put this there. And this is going to be a little weird, because in the projector there's a square shape surrounding the projector, but he also got halo rings, which are obviously circular, and he wants me to mount those, so I'm just a little bit confused as to how I'm going to do that, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. This is the bad one. Which one? Oh yeah, this one. So I want to take it to the bench out there. So this is the bad one, mostly just because if you look in here, it's all like brown and nasty in here. That's just because he's got a big hole here, so water's been getting in. I'm just going to do this one first just because it's the biggest problem. And I'm going to sand and re-clear these with some good 2K clear. Realistically, these might just be able to be buffed out, but I mean, they are kind of scratched and damaged from the glue, so I don't know. I'll figure it out. So I'm going to start taking this stuff apart. With these screws and tabs coming off first. This tab, I guess, is broken, it looks like. All this stuff is going to come off, and I'm going to label the baggie that it's going in, and then I'm going to put it in the oven. And my goal here is to just try to separate this today so that I can at least look inside and see what's going on. Okay, so I think I got everything off. It's all in here. The only thing I had trouble with, so all the screws are off. All the seals are off for the back, so I should just be able to put it in the oven and start popping it apart. I think it's 210 degrees for 10 minutes, and this glue in here will soften, so I'll be able to start prying it open with a screwdriver and pulling it apart by hand. The only thing I can't do is this here. So this is for the DRL. It's wired in, so the only thing I can't do is get out this O-ring. Nice. So there we go. So now the O-ring's out. I don't really care. Look, it doesn't even, I guess the O-ring is what's keeping it in place. So let's see if I could do some separating. There we go. Look at all this. So this is a new day. I found myself a little tripod so I can set my phone down and show you what I'm looking at here. So when I did my headlights, all these tabs that are here, like this one and this one, there's one over here, there's a couple up top here. There's not, oh, here it is. On my lights on my Subaru, they were all screwed in. So these are like little plastic rivets. So they won't come off unless you grind them down, and then you'll be able to pull your light off, or this lens off. So I'm just a little nervous about that, just because I don't know how I'm going to put it back on. What I was thinking was, so any little like plus, there's like a little plus here, and a little plus here, and a little one here, and there's one up here. There's one up here. Anyway, those all come out to here. So that's what these are mounted to. So I'm gonna grind these down and just to the surface. So only this is coming off, just so that I can pull it up. And then what I'm gonna do is grab some sort of adhesive, 2-part epoxy or something that I can, you know, just mix around, and I'll basically build this back. I'll build this little rivet back, and hopefully I'll be able to get it held down, but I'll find that out later once the time comes. But I know I'll be able to get it put back on. So, and here's something else. So this is obviously the projector side. I got the DRL out yesterday. This DRL just kind of sat down in here, and it was mounted here, where I took it out. The DRL was actually kind of acting as a washer for this. So I had to find a little tiny washer and put the screw back so that this lens wouldn't really have too much play. It still does, so I'll have to figure that out. So now what I'm gonna do is take this over to this workbench here. I have a little Dremel over here. that I could use to kind of sand this stuff down or grind this stuff down. You see my dad works down here, and I had asked him if I was gonna be in his way. He said no, but all my stuff has moved, so I was in the way. So let me clean this stuff up and I'll set this up a little bit so you can see a little bit of what I'm doing. So what I'm gonna do is I got my little Dremel here. So just have like a really aggressive, I don't even know what this is called, but I have it on there. What I'm gonna do is just kind of grind these out with this bit. This one's broken, so let's see. This should just come out. Yep. And this should come out. Oops. Yep. And then this should come out. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I didn't get this one down enough. There we go. So here's my problem. I got a ring and I got a square. So this is going to sit, I don't know, I guess it works pretty well. If I just butt it up against this wall here and this wall here, it just works fine. Probably have to drill out in here to feed this wire through, which sucks because this thing is huge, dude. Damn, this connector's enormous. Okay, so this is clean, it's done. This is gonna get painted. I just kind of wiped out some of the crap that was in there, but I'm sanding it down to 320 anyway. All the stuff gets covered up by this, so like there is still some dirt down here. This is like scuffed. I can't get the dirt off there, and like in here I can't really reach my rag in there, and there's a couple of little holes back there I can't reach the rag into, but a lot of it will be covered. Like all of it will be covered. The rest of your housing is going to cover up this. You're not going to see any of this except for from here to here, so that's all you're going to see. I've got some 320 right here. As soon as I can get some paint here, I blew it out with compressed air to get the dust out. So, except for apparently all that dust, which is weird. So I guess I'll do it again. But yeah, should be ready to go. So I just got everything hung up as you just saw, and I just realized I forgot to drill the pilot holes for the halo rings. So now I got to take it off. I'm gonna have to blow it off for a third time. Okay, so the holes are drilled. I drilled 3 little holes in here. So that I can put the beading wire through, so I can tie it down to the lens from behind. And then I've got, you know, typical shit here, which I'll just throw in there for now. And throw that in there for now. And this is my paint here that I'm using. So should be UV resistant, color retention. So there you go. Just gonna do some shaking and some spraying. Now I don't want to just like pour it on here because like I said before, I don't really want runs. So just gonna do like a quick light coat here, and then later, and by later I mean in about half hour, 25 minutes or something, I'll come back in and try to get more of the crevices where the paint's not going to land too well. And I know that you're supposed to, you know, I'm not going to do that with this. There's too many edges and curves where I'm going to wind up getting runs. So 15 minutes, I'll come back and I'll do it again. So we're looking at another day. This is like day 4 that I've been doing this. I'm still working on the one light because I'm just trying to figure everything out. So I've got the lens coated. I shouldn't say the lens, but this was chrome. This is really all I'm blacking out, because if I paint any of this, you're not going to be able, the lights are going to be useless, because it's using this chrome to bounce off and actually make light. So I can't really touch that. I can paint it a different color, but I discussed that with him and he didn't want that. So I wound up mounting the strip in the DRL. So this is in here, it's not going to come out. I just used the adhesive that's on it. And I think that should do just fine, because it's not like this is going to be moving. It will be mounted into the light. Now I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with this halo. So what sucks is that you got this wire coming off here, and it also is making a big lump in the back of the tape, which is fine, right? I mean, because what else are you going to do? So I kind of went over it with him as to what I want to do with mounting this, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I was thinking maybe I'd drill a hole in the side here and just fish the wire through the side here, so that there's like as little wire showing as possible. But I don't know, I really got to do some looking around and seeing how that's going to, A, how it's going to come out, if it's going to be in the way of anything when I try to put it back together, and B, how it's going to mount. So there's a lot to do still, but it's like kind of wrapping up here. So I put this really small bit on my Dremel. The best way to route the wiring, I think, is to basically get rid of this section right here, this little tiny flat section. Get rid of that and mount the wires straight from right here, just straight through there, so that you see as little wire as possible. It's gonna leave a mark. Obviously, I have to get rid of that little chunk, so it's not gonna look factory anymore. But I think it's the only way to do it where I'll be able to also run it through the housing, because every other route I wanted to take, the rest of the housing winds up being in the way, so I wouldn't be able to run the wire. And I'm trying to do as little modifying, which is funny because I'm modifying it, but I'm trying to do as little modifying as possible in terms of cutting the original structure out of the lighting. Okay, so now I'm at the point where I'm trying to mount this ring. I basically got it situated the best I could. So I'm going for the tie off here from the back. I'm routing some beading wire through these holes that I drilled. There's another one on this side. So I'm gonna try to do that really quick. It's gonna take me a while, so I'm not gonna sit here with the camera on for 15, 20 minutes while I do it. But I'm just hoping that this works for the best. Cool, so we got it mounted. I just have to clean this up. I already cleaned the lens here. The inside of the lens, so that's ready to, I have to start building the inside of the lens up so that I can put it back together. So this is what I'm using here. So there's a couple of different parts. There's this little plastic black shroud here, which goes in first, and then I'm going to put this doesn't have to go in. Well, it does have to go in first. If I didn't have the strip in here, it wouldn't have to go in first, but I'm going to route this wire in this little valley here, and then the next part sits on top of this. So once I route this wire through here, this should have an easier time sitting. There we go. So you can see all the pins are lined up where they would have been, and I'm just going to wind up building up some JB Weld on here. And I got to somehow figure out how to weigh this in there so that it doesn't wind up coming up for some weird reason. So here's part 3. Doing this one-handed is really lame. Perfect. No, I'm just kidding. This has to go up here a little bit. There we go. So I think this wire is still kind of in the way. A little bit. I might have to do some more shaving. Let me see. Okay, so I just did a little bit of shaving and everything seemed to line up pretty well. There's a little tiny bit of room there, but this is good. This one's good. This one's good. These are good. I just got to worry about this somehow. But if you remember in the beginning of the video, I just had those little plastic beads. So I kind of just tried to replicate that and try to get the stuff, down in there the best I could. And now I just have it weighing down and hanging out, trying to keep this stuff from coming up. So, and just to test it myself, I just put a little bead on this piece of metal and this little screw. I just want to see what it does when it's done. There's barely anything on there. So it's not like this is going to be taking a lot of stress. It's just light. So most that's going to happen is it's going to turn on and off. And that's all. So it's a new day. I took the weights off here. I checked this stuff. It's in there pretty good. So the only thing is that I had glued this together yesterday just to see how strong it was. It came out pretty easily. It's not really a good example because it was just, it was just put on there. But the stuff is dry for the most part. I'm not going to mess with this too much because no one's going to mess with it. So once it's put together, that's it. I could pick it up by the lens. I think it's pretty good. So that's all I need to do with that. So this lens is done. And it's looking something like this. And what I'm doing right now is just trying to fix this hole here. So I cut out this piece of plastic and I'm just putting a little bit of sealer around it for now. And it's just gonna kind of fit like in here. And then I'm gonna seal around the top of it as well. So the patch is done. It's not going anywhere. I'm pushing on it from the other side. So it can be removed, which is good, but it's not meant to be. But if you have to, for some reason, it can be. So that's good. And you can see inside, it's all sealed up, so no water should be getting in here. So before I re-clear, basically we're going to be going from this to this, which I think is a little bit nicer. So I guess they came out pretty good. I mean, this isn't sealed yet, so I still got to figure out how I'm putting this back together. It kind of temporarily ran the wires through, but I'm going to pull it back apart because I need to get glue in here. I think it's a pretty good look, though. After the re-clear, all this haziness will be gone, so it'll look a lot better. Okay, so I've got light 1 in the oven right now. Basically, what I did was I laid the bead of glue in the little recessed, I don't even know what you'd call it, but there's a little channel in the light for the other side of the lens to push into. So I basically laid the bead of glue throughout the whole channel, and then I put it into the oven first, let it get really soft before I started to put the lens back on, because it would have been a real pain if I didn't, because the glue is like hard, it's not pliable unless it's warm. So that's what I did first, and then I came over here to the bench, and I just kind of pushed it back together the best I could, but it cools down pretty quick, so I just put it back in the oven, and I hope this is the last time I could have it in there, and I can get it out and screw it back together and have it all ready. That's what I'm hoping. So 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and that light should be done. So the light went back together pretty well. So I labeled these just for what side they go on. This is the driver's side projector, so it's going to go in here. What I'm going to do is stretch this out and cut a little hole right in here, and then I'll be able to feed this plug through. And once the plug goes through, it should, basically it's going to expand for the plug to go through. So once the plug goes through, it'll contract back again, and it'll almost be just the size of the wire, and then I'll wind up sealing it up with some of that sealer. Basically just like this. And now the wire is in that little seam there, and this is all sealed up the way that it was. This boot just fits into place there, and that's it. There was no sort of adhesive or glue on the boot when I took it off. And I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive just around this wire. Just, I don't think moisture would even get in there, but just in case. And this plug right here, I didn't have when I got the light, so I hope that he's got something to throw in there. I think it's just a blinker. So, just got to do this one, and the light's basically done. Okay, so I just finished this light before the clear. So I tried to polish it so that I can get a good before and after. But I'm still going to clear them both. So this is what we're looking at here. So this is what I just did. Painted the housing here black, added the halo ring, added the DRL strip, cleaned up the inside of the lens. I patched the hole that was on the top here. So it doesn't seem like it was a lot of work, but it was pretty tough to really make sure that I was able to hide those wires and really make it look like it was from the factory. So I like that I was able to keep this little recessed, this little DRL housing here. So there was an OEM, I think it was like an orange LED, amber LED or something. Maybe it was white, I don't know. But I was able to remove that and keep the little housing for it so it kind of looks factory. So this is what he had originally. This one was way worse because it was cracked and had a hole in it, and you know, I still have some dirt under here that I couldn't get out, but it was far worse than that. So you can compare the two side by side. So this is the new one before a clear coat, and this is the old one before a clear coat. So I'll show you them once they're all cleared up and basically ready to give back to the guy. And that's really it. So the lights are done, essentially. I mean, the clear coat is on there drying currently. And unfortunately, it's not my car, so I won't really be able to show you how they look wired. Maybe by the time I get this video edited, I can have the guys send me some pictures or some videos or something. But they're cleared, and here they are. So they look very, very good. Way better than I could have anticipated. And the clear is still leveling as it's drying. So, but yeah, they're done. And I can't wait to see what they look like. So, thanks for watching, and I don't know, I guess that's it. Walk through most of the day.